Is this thing working? Are we live? It looks like we're live. What's happening, everybody? I hope everybody's having a fantastic whatever day you're watching this. Had to get some camera situation figured out. Looks like we got that all sorted. Um, Listen, if this is your first time hanging out with us on a live show, this is basically my opportunity to interact directly with you guys and to also kick around different video ideas, different things that sometimes just can't make it to a standalone video. This is where those ideas will come to fester, I guess. But at any rate, yeah, that's what we'll do here too. So just kind of open chat about certain different topics, different bikes I might be talking about for upcoming videos. We'll talk about here as well. So if you've got if there's a certain kind of bike you're looking to maybe see if I can do a ride and review, now's the time to throw in that request as well. Sam's checking in. How's the camera? You tell me. Should be working out pretty good. So for tonight, going to be talking a little bit about bikes that I've been working on, some of the ride reviews that I've been up to, and some of the thoughts and some of what you guys have been suggesting in terms of the next bike. And what I wanted to talk about specifically is the R9. Not letting any cats out of the bag here. I don't have my sights set on one per se, mainly because there's just not one to be had anywhere near me, at least not the one that I would want. And it kind of begs the question a little bit because, we've got a GSX-R 750 back in the stable. To get an R9, I would have to let the 636 go. And the problem with letting the 636 go is, man, have I ever put a ton of work into that bike. I mean, we've got tires, suspension settings. We've got the FTECU shifter thing. You've got the sensor. You've got the shift shaft stabilizer, not to mention the full tune, the velocity stacks, and the full M4 exhaust. And I'm going to give that up for an R9. Well, the thing is that maybe that would make sense because you saying H2. H2 is garbage, man. Forget that. Ain't no way. Not my cup of tea in terms of bikes. It's not a bad bike. It's just, it is an overly complicated, very heavy, extremely fast contraption. I mean, it is a sideshow piece. So what would I do? Sam's saying a large bore single. Not big into thumpers because I can't really. The problem with big bore singles is that they don't work well in the environment that I ride. If I were doing smaller, shorter runs or something more in town or off road, then yeah, it'd be fun. Tim's checking in from Australia. What's up, man? Hope you're having a fantastic. It's the morning. It's lunchtime over there tomorrow. So hopefully lunch is going well, Tim. Mickey's in from Chi-Town. I like it. Love Chicago. It's a beautiful city. But one of the things about the R9, this is one of the takeaways for me with the R9. I don't know that I could get rid of the 636 to get an R9 unless somebody threw a hell of a good deal at me on the R9. And again, the 636 is so good at being a 600 that I don't know that the R9 is going to be better at being a whatever the R9 is. Because the thing is I don't know what to make of the R9. I've ridden the XSR 900, and I can tell you that riding that bike was an eye-opener just in terms of how responsive and how fast that motorcycle would accelerate. But that's only basing that on my preconceived notions of that bike. I came into that with a certain level of expectation. And let's be honest, the CP3 punches way above its weight class, but it gets the opportunity to punch like that because the weight of the motorcycle is so light. So I don't know that the R9 is going to be a bike that would do well for the channel either. I mean, I haven't really heard anybody clamoring for R9 content. And the only real takeaway for the R9 is that it's Euro 5 compliant like the ZX6. So it's got more of a global appeal, you know? But with that being said, there's just some like about the R9 with me. And part of that is R9 guy. And what I mean by that, I mean this with all the love in my heart, because as Gixxer guy, I get plenty and I take as well as I give. But here's the thing about R9. There is such a disconnect from what you see. For example, the super sport, the new gen super sport racing, where the R9 is just going out there and cleaning everybody's clock. The problem with the R9 is that bike, you know, each one of these bikes is separated from its stock counterpart or its factory counterpart. Let's call it a stock counterpart for purposes of conversation. Each one of these motorcycles is separated by a certain amount of real estate from its stock counterpart. The 636 is very similar to its stock counterpart in super sport racing. There's some differences kind of internally, but for the most part, it's closest, right? It uses the same body panels. It uses a lot of the same components. The GSXR 750, believe it or not, in terms of, you know, outright prep, is very much the same as its stock counterpart, with really the most nannies installed on the GSXR 750 to keep it from just flat out running out of the life of the rest of the field in terms of outright power. Could you imagine an unrestricted super stock build on a GSXR 750? Jesus. Okay, so you get the idea, right? These bikes are it's handicap racing. And the problem is that nobody does handicap racing better than Yamaha with the R9. And so the guys that will absolutely just sing the praises of the R9, what you're forgetting is that the R9 that you're looking at is a 140 plus horsepower bike that's been restricted down to 130. But it's got all the torque leading up to it. And it's kind of a weird bending of the rules that I'm seeing with the R9 versus the 636, the V2 Panigale, all the GSXR 750. There's a weird like getting away with something that's going on with that bike. And not to mention, the stock bike does not have ram air. The race bike does. The stock bike has a certain swing arm. The race bike doesn't, right? The stock bike has a lot of the things that you would need to, you know, make an XSR 900 or an MT09 into a sport bike. Whereas the super sport bike has everything that you need to make an R9 a race bike. See what I mean? Like there's a huge separation between those two bikes. And in my experience with the XSR 900, it's a very fun bike to ride. And by the way, the initial torque hit on that bike, it rivals my GSXR 1000, even with everything that's been done to the 1000. It's a 900cc engine that revs, you know, only 2/3 as high as my GSXR 1000 for practical purposes. We're talking here. So you've got a ton of airflow down low. You've got all this torque that it can make just because of, you know, physics. And that's what took me by surprise with the XSR. And it really got the old noggin rocking. I thought, you know, damn, that R9 with this setup would be really good. It's got a little bit longer legs, and you can take advantage of the power output of that bike a lot on the street. Lots of torque on demand with no over rev, but you get used to that. You can work around that. So the more I kept thinking about it, the more I thought, you know, it's almost doing myself a disservice to not have an R9 in the fleet, because it really is the other end of the spectrum when you compare it to a 636 or a GSXR 750, where the R9, you might as well just pull an upshift at 9,500 RPM. It'll rev to 10.5, but the world's pretty much come to an end for that thing in terms of outright horsepower by about 9,500 RPM or so. You want to keep it in that fat part of the torque band. And that's a fun bike to ride. You're very engaged with it. You're always running it. Matter of fact, you treat those bikes the same way that you would treat a motorcycle that you rev really high. It's just that instead of revving it high, you treat the RPM as, you've got these limits, like don't get it past 9 or 10. Keep that bike low in the revs and keep leaning on the torque. And when I rode the XSR 900, that's what I was doing. I thought, man, this is a really good bike. Doesn't have any horsepower, but it's got a ton of torque through the mid-range, and that's going to make it difficult to deal with on the twisties. And I can see where a lot of guys would be attracted to that bike, especially if you're not really out to just kill it on track. You just want a bike on the street that has all the gadgets and gizmos and arguably one of the best chassis out there, lots of front end feel, and you want a bike that is going to be very friendly, very fun, but it's not going to freak you out in terms of power. That's going to be the R9. And where the R9 has some advantages over the 636 is it's this lump of an engine. It's getting things done with brute force. And I'll tell you what, having a GSXR 750 back in the stable, you're reminded of what grunt is like. Let me give you guys an example. I was playing around on Gearing Commander, and I was flirting around with, okay, well, when we do the roll racing with the 636 and the 750, what should we run these bikes out to? Realistically speaking, the run can only go to about 135 or 140 miles an hour. And quite frankly, it may as well just go to 135, because with the GSXR 750, I'm shifting from fourth into fifth at 135 miles an hour. The 636 is going to be on the ass end of its tach. I mean, that's going to be that bike at about 13,000 RPM. And so, run the thing out to the end, I guess. It'll indicate 100. The best I can hope for mile an hour wise, just getting to the bottom of this, is 150 out of the 636. So it's like, well, I mean, I guess you make the hit in second gear with both bikes and just let the chips fall where they may out to an indicated 150 or 145 on the speedo, and just there you go. There's your roll race. I like the idea of an R9, though, because I'm jaded by torque. And this is where the 636, as good as it is, the only place I will ever be able to truly enjoy that bike is on a racetrack. That bike with me on it at Thunder Hill on a pretty summer day I would be hell to deal with at T Hill on that bike. I can promise you that. But me out on BNC roads, it's a fun bike, but it just doesn't have the pull out of long sweepers that the 750 is going to have. And it certainly is not going to have just the grunt riding the thing around that the R9 would have, which, again, I don't know that I am expressing how grunty the R9 is. Again, more so than my GSXR 1000, more so than the R1, which, by the way, that bike sold, and I'm a little bit miffed about that because I was hoping for a play on that. But let me check in with you guys real quick. Sam's asking, have you seen the flat twin? I've seen a lot of flat twins. The R18, I don't fit on an R18, by the way. I'm glad you brought that bike up, because in terms of riding reviews, that bike will never happen for me. That bike, for me, I am so fish out of water sitting on that thing. I know it looks like a thing, but no, it's bad. I don't fit on that thing at all. DM's in saying, we're back. Good evening, chat and friends. Oh, we got the ball guy with the flex and the specs. Meek's asking, are you going to go out to the tracks for investigation interviews? I would like to get out on track just in general. Maybe head out to Motorsports Ranch, which is a very short track, but I would still like to be on track. I miss it. But I'm going to tell you guys this straight away. I don't want to get into the habit of going to the track because that ends up being an addiction. I was bad about that. And I mean, if you're going out there to just have fun and you're not taking it too seriously, you're good. The problem is that I'm good enough to be competitive. And then if I'm competitive, I want to get better so that I am more competitive. So it's good in terms of getting your skill set better, taking classes and reinforcing your skill set. But man, I tell you what, I miss it. And I would probably be remiss if I didn't get back on track soon enough. Maybe next year. Oh, DM saying, B, I like that I see a lot of new names here and on your vids. The 636 750 comparison was great. Thank you very much. Yes, it's awesome. Listen, new guys, thank y'all so much for hanging out. Don't be shy. Look, if you're on the live show, jump on the live chat. Got a lot of great guys on here. And again, this is my opportunity to interact directly with you. Feel free to jump in. We cut up a little bit with each other, but keep it respectful. And yeah, so thank y'all for being in and a part of the show. Let's see, where am I? What happened to me? Here we are. But thank you. Yeah, the 636 750 video comparison, that was fun for me. I don't have the notepad over here, but yeah, if you guys haven't seen that, what I do is I break down the 636 versus the GSXR 750. As I'm riding them, I do one ride 750 from the point of view of the 636, another ride the 636 from the point of view of the 750. And then I sit down and I go over measurements with these bikes. And I explain mathematically why one motorcycle handles and has certain attributes versus another one. And it's a lot of fun because for me, you get to kind of see behind the veil once you start to dissect these things a little bit. And it's really interesting. And the math plays itself out beautifully on both bikes as far as explaining why they handle the way that they do. Why does the 636 have such a really fast roll rate, but it doesn't seem to have really good front end feel? And the GSXR 750 and the 600, by the fact they're the same chassis, why is it that those two bikes, they have very different feel when it comes to, comparing those bikes, with the GSXRs having such great front end feel, such good stability at apex and corner exit. So I go over that. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's not a super long video. DM's checking in. Hey, Sam. Tim saying, took the Heel Tech quick shifter off of the GSXR 750 yesterday. Only had it on for 2 months and didn't like it and could not get it consistent. I developed shift anxiety. Just didn't feel right on the 750. My man, you and I are rowing the same boat. I know we kind of chatted about this a little bit. The crazy thing about it is the more I ride, so the more I ride the 636, even though I put the FTECU sensor on it and it's got the shift shaft thingamabob, because of that, first of all, the shift shaft stabilizer on a Kawasaki is practically, it's mandatory. But with all the stuff I did, that is super, super silky now, the transmission. And I still don't use the quick shifter on that bike unless I am in it to win it on the very top end of a gear. I quit using the quick shifter altogether, and I'm just going through the gears just like I do on the GSXR 750. The only bike that I ride that I actively use the quick shifter on is the GSXR 1000. I don't see it. I don't see it necessary. I can burn through gears better than most of the quick shifters that I've experienced. Not all. I'm not saying I'm not that dude. Okay, trust me. I'm just saying with some of the quick shifters that, like the aftermarket one, like yours, or even the stock one on the 636, I've found that I'm a lot smoother. The bike is a lot smoother. It doesn't upset anything. It doesn't jar, the riding experience the way that some of these quick shifters can. So, But yeah, I'm the same way. And I thought, it'd be a cool idea to put the heel tech on the 750. And then with this one, I kid you not, I was gung ho for it with my other 750. And after riding the 636, having all the headaches with that thing, converting it over to the FTCU, and just riding that thing and coming back to the GSXR 750 and the 750 feeling so good without a quick shifter. And if you listen to me riding that 750, listen to how I'm going through the gears. There's the last one I did. You'll hear me fan through a couple of the gears, and then I just do a power shift on that last one as I'm getting onto the highway. I'm like, intrusive thoughts. I'm like, yeah, quick shifter. I got you right here, baby. Yeah. Oh, and this is the other funny thing about quick. Hold on, let me get back over here. Okay, this is the other funny thing about quick shifters. You'll hear these journos talk about, well, not having a quick shifter is definitely a detriment to lap times. What? Listen, how? Maybe if you're trying to catch a gear halfway through when you're late, you're not going to be shifting when you're on the side of the tire necessarily. You're going to be more at corner exit. And by the way, some of these quick shifters and the nannies won't let you do it without a pretty decent bobble in the shift because it doesn't want to upset the chassis. I can just reach over and fan, do a light fan on the clutch and pull a gear in, no problem, and do it a lot smoother. So I don't know, man. Like I say, I love it on the 1000. It works great on that bike. It just doesn't work great on all bikes. And it just because a bike has a quick shifter doesn't mean that technology is going to work with that type of bike or with that setup or with that type of quick shifter, if you know what I mean. Anyway, Sniper saying, got a speeding ticket on the 636, 85 and a 40. That's the way to do it if you're going to do it. Always obey traffic laws. Sam saying the R9 is like Mr. T then. Kind of. Oh, Jamie saying, I like the road bike behind me. That is an Olmo Giuseppe Doug. It's from the early 80s. It's an all steel bike. My dad was a competitive cyclist, and yeah, that was his vintage Olmo. I need to regrip it, and I need to give that thing some love. So fun fact, it's a big time collector's item. And I'll use it to ride back and forth to the shop sometimes. And it's kind of funny because, to me, it's just another bike, but it's actually kind of a big deal for some guys. Oh, Tim's saying they are great quick shifters, but it's just the 750 is perfect enough without one. Agreed. The thing is, here's another thing. One of the funny, people talk about quick shifters and how they're great, but one of the biggest issues that a lot of guys have with the new Panigale as a crappy quick shifter. I mean, that is the first they'll go. I mean, that's one of the first things that they'll lean on for that bike. Sam saying in my state, 85 and a 40 is jail time. Not in Texas, but in some areas, yeah, you can lose your license. Sarver said, my attorney said he will handle it. I just got to take the driving class. Cool. Sam saying, build yourself an old Sportster. He's saying R3 track bike. I have a 750. I'd love to build a Sportster. You guys know that I came so close. I was looking for a 1200 Sportster to do a cafe build on. I'm a huge fan of Sportsters, by the way. Love them. Let's see. Sam saying, what about a Royal Enfield Interceptor 650? There's one at the dealership right now. Marco's in. Hey, Brian. Hey, Marco. Sam saying, last thing I built bent valves. That's bad. Jamie saying, the way you do videos, you should get your hands on all kinds of bikes and do reviews on them. Love the way you go into detail with them and stuff. Thank you very much. I try to do as many ride reviews as I can with the dealership. Stub Cycles. Where is that? There it is. Stub Cycles in beautiful Houston, Texas. I've got some coming up next week that are on, I guess you could say they're in the queue. BMW GS 1200 is potentially on the list. The Interceptor 650 is on the list from Royal Enfield. There is a potential to revisit the CBR 1000 and the XSR 900. What else is in the mix? I'll have to look, but the R18 is certainly not. That is a bike that is so weird to me. I literally am I can't even sit on that thing. It's just, maybe it's just the R18 that's there. I don't know if the guy that had it before was a little dude, but I don't know. But thank you, Jamie. I appreciate that. Be on the lookout. I've got a lot of riding reviews. Check out my playlists. Um, by the way, the ones that get the most love are the DCT bikes from Honda and the sport bikes. Marco's saying, going to try the Heel Tech on my GSXR 600. A little hesitant though. Listen, for some of us, the way that we ride, I don't know that it's a good fit for that. Well, I know some guys love it. There's guys that will just sing the praises of that thing. The way that I understand a good walking around tune for your shifter is, low RPM, 80 milliseconds, higher RPM, 75, real high 65. And I don't know. I don't have it's kind of hard for me to really speak on it because I never did install one. I had one. I am selling it when I got rid of, let the other 750 go. Now that I've got my new 750, I don't really want to do anything but put the exhaust from M4 and the tune from Two Wheel Dyno Works on it. Is that foreshadowing? I did order the exhaust today, guys. Let's see. Loud saying, I couldn't wait to get into one of these streams, but you answered all my questions with your recent videos. Oh, well, thank you very much. Hopefully you had a good time watching them too. Tim saying, maybe I'm just old school, like the 750, don't like the nannies. I'm kind of the same way. Rhino's liking the R9 over the 750. So when you're saying it smokes it how? Smokes it in acceleration, smokes it in handling, smokes it in the canyon, smokes it at the track, smokes it in roll racing. There's a lot of ways that a bike can beat another bike. And my big question, Rhino, is do you own an R9? I would love to get your feedback on that bike because, again, if I'm thinking about bringing that bike on into the fleet, what I want to do is I want to find a white and red one if I'm going to do this. If I'm going to move away from my 636, which I would have to do to get an R9, I would love to get your take on it. Like I say, I've ridden the XSR 900 and I really like that bike. It accelerated strong, a lot stronger than I thought. It's got better bottom end torque than my GSXR 1000 or the R1 that I did the riding review, or the CBR 1000, which I love to death, but I just can't afford. So there's that to consider. Fill me in. I'm ignorant to the R9. I would love to get some time with it. I do a lot of riding reviews. The problem is that I can't get my hands on an R9. They just don't exist. Yamaha makes plenty of them, don't get me wrong, but the dealerships that have them either flip them pretty quickly or I can't get a leg over on them. So please elaborate, because I would love to hear more. I know that the brakes are good. I know that it's got a ton of rider aids. The TFT screen doesn't really land well with me. I like them, but it doesn't really strike a note with me because I don't really need that. But anyway, let us know. Educate us, please. Tim saying 40 kilometers over the speed limit is $1,000 fine and 6 months loss of driver's license in Australia. Damn. Don't get pulled over. Tim saying, Laupak saying, any thoughts about the new ZX10RR? Expensive. Bike looks good. I like what they've done with the geometry on that bike. So the 10R needed some love, and bringing that rear swing arm up a little bit is definitely going to help. I like the idea of the 10R, but here's my only issue with the 10R is that bike with its long ass wheelbase, that bike for me feels okay. So let's say that the GSX-R 1000 and the R1, which are in so many ways practically identical. I love the R1, and their geometries are very, very, very similar. Let's say those bikes are a 10/10th size liter bike. The CBR 1000 is like an 8 or a 9/10 size liter bike. The CBR 1000 is a tiny motorcycle. It's the size of the 636, and it weighs the same too. Handles a lot the same too. That bike with a 190/55 would be lights out, by the way. But I think you still have to even tune it because the nannies freak out so easily on that bike. Anyway, I'm getting away from myself. The 10R for me feels like an 11/10 size liter bike. It just feels bigger all the way around. And it's not that I couldn't get comfortable on it. I just couldn't. I really couldn't get comfortable on it. But that's just me. I think the bike is amazing, and I'm stoked that it's Euro 5. Oh, Sam, yeah, Briggs are bomb proof. Um, but ran 60 miles an hour. Will I be looking to review the 26 Z900 RS SE? If I could get a leg over it, I would. You know, I used to own a Z900 RS Cafe that I did a ton of work to. And I really, really liked that bike a lot. That's one of the few bikes that I kind of wish I didn't get rid of is my Cafe, because I really did like that bike, but I made the mistake of putting a Brox exhaust on that thing. And I say I made the mistake because that bike was freaking loud. Like okay, the bike itself wasn't loud, but it was where it was loud. It was blowing my eardrum out. Anyway, I ended up going from that to the Katana, but I really liked my Z900. And if I did get another one, I would not really mess with it too much. I would maybe de-restrict it, but that's it. Fun bike though, nice, torquey, fun. They sound really good. Also, bike. Sam said, "I don't want to be fast. I want to look good and be loud." That's easy to do. Oh, right. Only joking. It's no different than an MT-09 or XSR. No, and that's the thing. It's not. But man, I got to tell you. So here's the funny thing. This is where I'm so conflicted with the R9 because I've got my dad's Daytona, and my dad's Daytona 955cc triple. It's 30 years old practically, but it's a 955cc triple, makes about the same power to the rear tire, weighs a little bit more, but it makes a little bit more torque. So I kind of have that riding experience, if you will. But strangely enough, oddly, it's not gonna, or obviously it's not gonna handle anywhere near like an R9. But man, I got to tell you, the R9, just with all that torque, just the initial hit, the grunt of that CP3 engine is something that you cannot dismiss it. But again, if I got one, then I would have to do exhaust, I would have to do tune, I would have to do the airbox mod. There would be a host of things that would be mandatory for that bike. And here's the problem. Everything that I would do to that bike would be mandatory to get it to make even remotely the right amount of power when you start to compare it to like where the 636 is in outright horsepower. But see, you don't need the gearing that the 636 is going to need to have to get it moving, right? So I don't know. I would love to spend time with the R9. Like I would love to just rent one. Like you can't do an extended, test ride. But of the bikes that are out there right now, the R9 is the only one that intrigues me at all. But it's also the only bike that I would be but it's also the bike that I'm the most hesitant to buy I would really want to spend time with it. So I need to figure out if I can rent one for a week, or whatever, and try to get some data on it, get some ideas with it. Oh, Marco's saying, thank you for this live chat. Get a lot of knowledge from it. Thank you. Well, thank you for being a part of the show. Appreciate you, bud. Mickey's saying, track guys are putting a bigger back tire on the 750. They'll typically go, and yes, they do. And I'll explain that here in just a second. Just +5 on the sidewall. What will this do to handling? It helps it. So what they're doing is they're putting a, they're putting a 180/60 on the back of the bike. And so the GSXR 750, when I used to race, well, I say race, did a lot of track days. There's two things where you can do one or the other or both on a GSXR 750. One of them is to raise the bike by a couple of industrial washers. You just go to the hardware store and get big washers, and whatever fits over the threaded portion that goes into the frame from the shock, you just literally take the seat off, get your wrench, unbolt the shock, basically lift the center of the bike, clear the shock, put the washers on, shim it up basically, or shim the shock down, which raises the bike up, put the thing back together, put the nut on, torque it, and peace out. You just raised your center of gravity by about usually 4 millimeters doing that. Then what you do, or you don't do, you can do that, leave the 180/55 on the back, or instead of doing that, which can be a pain in the ass, you just put a 180/60 rear tire on it. And again, it kind of has the same but different effect. So what in that case you'll do is you'll raise the back of the bike slightly, which decreases your rake, right? Because your rake would be here. Hold on, that's a terrible way to, like, this is the remote. I don't have a motorcycle over here. It'd be kind of cool if I did. I need to get some of those. Anyway, if your rake, like this is your front fork, if you raise the back up, you're going to reduce the actual dynamic rake onto the tarmac. It's going to quicken up the steering. You can do that, or you can do both. And depending on the track, you might want to do one or the other, or neither. If you just like the way the bike handles the way that it is, it's not a mandatory set of modifications. But the guys that run the 180/60, it's a super common thing for guys to run a 60 series on track. The reason why is, if it's if this is a 180/55, right? You got a 180/55 might be like this. A 180/60 is going to have more of a tapered contour to it. And that's why you would do that. Helps with turn in. And you also pick up a little, or you can neuter the gearing a little bit too. It's usually by about 3%. And what that'll do is it'll help you when you're on the side of the tire. You're not going to drop as well. You'll drop a little bit more in terms of gear ratio, because the more you get on the side of the tire, your effective gear ratio drops because you're on a smaller diameter. Anyway, this is getting kind of in the weeds on this, but yes, it's a very common thing, and a lot of guys do it. And on a 750, it's almost like it's made for it. Well, it took me forever to get to that point, but yes, definitely a good way to go. Sovereign is in. Patrick is saying 2026 ZX6R or 26 R7. Oh, ZX6R. Well, ZX6R for sure, but there's a lot you're going to have to do to get the ZX6R right. That R7 is freaking gorgeous. Nowhere near as powerful as the 636, but a hell of a good bike. Sam saying Florida's new super speeder law at 100 miles an hour is jail. 40 over can be jail, all mandatory appearance. Now, luckily down here, we don't really have any of that. They usually won't crack you. 25 over, I think down here is mandatory appear. I forget. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, John saying, hello, good people. Hello, John. Tim saying, maybe pointless info, but I flipped the stock clip-ons from right to left on my GSXR 750, and it makes so much more comfortable, like 2 inches up, 2 inches wider on the handlebars. Easy mud. Yep. That was one a lot of guys did back in the day with that bike. And somebody, I think, stumbled on that. I remember somebody was telling me about the flip. I've never done it, but I've heard something along those lines. And then there was another one. There was another one. What was it? Somebody was saying using another clip on. I can't remember what it was. Guys, going back a ton of years. Loud saying, if you're intrigued by the R9 so much, why don't you think about, what do you think about the new KTM? Okay, so good question. I'm glad you asked. The KTM for me, okay, the issue that I have with the KTM is that it's a parallel twin. Now, the parallel twin part of that, I don't really have beef with. What I have a problem with is how parallel twins make power in general. So, a fast parallel twin is still going to suffer from the same ailment that any twin is going to suffer from, unless they're called Ducati and they are actively trying to drag RPM out of that platform, which is tough to do, by the way, the bigger the engine gets. And that has a lot to do with piston weight and piston speed, because a twin, to get to the same displacement, has to have a longer stroke and a bigger piston, all of which increase piston speed at any given RPM, and that creates problems. So anyway, that brings me to my point. A parallel twin is always going to be RPM limited. The issue with that is that you build a ton of power on the left-hand side of the tach, and then you get a if it's done right, you can plateau the power on the big end. They're rarely going to be peaky because you run out of physical airflow before the engine gets a chance to be peaky. It's actually really hard to get a twin to have that same characteristic. The Testa Stretta was pretty close though, but even it had the chart is not as angled, so to speak. The ass end of that chart's kicked up because those engines make a lot of torque. It's not because it's a twin. It's because to get to the same displacement, the pistons are bigger bangs. Now, I like the idea of the KTM though, because it is a twin. I like twins. It is a, how do I put this? It's a better street bike, I think. I think it will make for a better street bike than a track bike, but it won't be as exciting. And that's the other thing about P2s. They could technically be better at putting power down. So for you guys that may or may not be in the know, each engine has a pro and a con. The pro on a twin is that you get a bang and then a lot of quiet time for that tire to recuperate underneath you. And what that means is, like a 4-cylinder, when you're on the throttle, for every revolution of the crankshaft, you get 2 cylinders fire. Every 720, you get 4. Well, that means that you've got basically 180 degrees of quiet time every time one of those pistons fires, right? So in that quiet time, the tire's getting driven into the ground and the tire's fighting for traction, and then it is allowed to, in essence, recover. So it's in the recovery that you're collecting traction. A twin is, well, in the case of a 270 degree, you've got, okay, let's just make it easy. Let's say that let's say it's a 360 and you've got one power pulse every 360 degrees. In this case, it's 270, but the same principle applies. That means that you have all of this time for the tire to recollect traction. So coming out of corners is nice. You've got a big torque hit, but you've got a lot of traction too. Whereas on a 4-cylinder, you got a big power hit, and that's going to make it not do well with tires. That's why my Gixxer Thou goes through tires like crazy. It's because I'm hard on corner entries. I'm coming through and I'm hitting that apex. The thing I'm trying to do the fastest is to get that bike right back up and get as much power down to the ground as I possibly can. And I'm always leaving that cute little black patch as I'm, exiting, coming through, or as the bike's coming up, I'm just pouring the power to it. that 4-cylinder is just churning that tire, tearing it up. Um, which can make it, do the fun little ass wiggle, and then you'll get a little bar shake, and then you really pin the throttle and it comes up and it goes, it's so much fun. I love my leader bike stuff. Anyway, that's stuff that goes, oh my God, that would freak me out. I'm like, dude, that's my baby just talking to me. We're shimmying, we're shaking, we're having fun. Anyway, just something Gixxer 750 doesn't quite do, but the ZX6 does. The 636 does everything like a leader bike. But I guess where I'm going with all this is the KTM, great bike, all that, a little on the pricey side, and you have to buy the tech package for the extra $1,000. And I got to worry a little bit about the reliability of it. I know that engine platform is going to be pretty solid, but let's be honest, KTM is one of the least attractive brands right now. But I do have to say this. That bike is criminally pretty in orange. Don't really like it in black. If I did get one, I wouldn't get it in black because you'd never be able to see it on camera. But that bike is killer looking in orange. But the white with orange for the R model is even better. That's kind of how I would have liked them to release that bike. So I'm saying starting to get cold here in Cali. Tell you what, bring some of that down here. It's starting to get hotter again down here. Rhino's asking, how do you compare the power of the Cowie Z900 versus the Gixxer 750? Glad you asked. The 948 in the Z900 is very similar to the GSXR 750. It makes a little bit more torque, not quite as much power when you de-restrict them, but they're very, very close. Here's how I think about the Z900. You want to talk about a bike that would immediately get me to, it's like just shut up and take my money, is if they ever put a full fairing on the Z900. It's a little heavy. I get it. But, dude, there's ways you can drop weight. And that engine is really good. Now, the Z900 RS that I had is, in essence, the exact same bike in a lot of ways, just with a little bit less compression. But with everything I had done to mine, it was in that a little bit more than what a Z900 would make stock. And that my cafe, the way it was set up, it ran its ass off for what it was. But could you imagine the Z900 with a full fairing? Oh my goodness. They would just sell that thing like everybody would get allergic to money if they would make that bike. Sovereign saying, hey, DM saying, hey, Sovereign Knight. Oh, I lost you guys. Hang on. Sorry. Where'd I go? Well, I totally screwed up. I blew way past everybody. Timeout. Here you go. I was asking, how did you come to understand how the bike works? Like the stuff you explained in your 750 versus 636 measurement video was really detailed and made me want to ask. Glad you asked. So when I was a kid, my dad was, again, competitive cyclist, but also big into street racing, race motorcycles, and race cars. But one of the things that we did was, we would hang out with the guys, and I learned from the guys that worked on the bikes, and I learned from the guys that raced. As I grew up, I took a very keen interest in just engineering, mechanical engineering, anything that was any way that I could learn how this stuff worked. And what I found out is, the different things that the geometry did, which I was a geometry freak when I was a kid. And I loved how that played into motorcycles. And so I just got started with that, learned. And then when I started doing track days and hanging out with guys that did track days, that's where I would really start to, learn the practical application of it. And so it's just something that kind of progressed. It's something that you just kind of pick up on, little things here, little things there, talk to guys that do this stuff for a living, talk to guys that set up race bikes for a living. And it just kind of goes from there. Worked with a lot with the guys in, back in the day in Northern California, doing track days, how they would set their bikes up. There was all this stuff going on that, you just get to working with the guys, talk to some factory guys. I got an opportunity to do that at one point. Just learned asking questions. I'm the kid that would always ask the why, like, why is that? Why is that? And you'll hear me at why. You want to know the why behind the what that I'm talking about. And so in your case, you wanted to know how did this guy figure this stuff out? It's just an accumulation of a bunch of weird and kind of arbitrary and in some cases very useless information that I picked up on. But when I was a kid, I was super into this kind of stuff. So, but that's how I learned. And then you get into your own bikes, right? So I had my GSXR 750 and I played around with the different tire sizes. My RC51, I did a lot of that. Played around with raising the center of the bike with the 750. Just goofy little things here and there that you start to do along the way with your own experience and your journey through motorcycling stuff. And, a lot of guys just say, who cares? You'll hear me also say, I don't need to know how the clock works. I just need to know what time it is. I'm the guy that wants to know how the clock works, what kind of metals and woods the clock is made out of. How does the spring thing go? Like, I don't just need to know that how the clock works. I want to know the other stuff behind it. And it's like anything that I do, I really get into it. That's like it's like my superpower. I become an expert at becoming an expert on things just because I get so just into it. Doesn't mean I'll be very good at it, but I'll be really interested in it. That's for sure. Just ask me how my boxing career went. Sovereign's checking in with DM. Hey, let's see. Sovereign's chilling. Just finished dinner. Very nice. DM saying track dates are just races without the plastic trophy at the end. So yeah, that's exactly it. So you don't get the cheap trophy at the end of the day. There ain't no pretty girl to come up there and give you a kiss unless you got your wife with you, your girlfriend, and even she probably doesn't care. You still beat yourself up. You still go through tires. The bike still has to be maintained afterwards. They don't give you any money. In fact, you got to pay for the privilege of beating yourself up in 20-minute sessions. Sounds like a lot of fun. Hey, listen, if I wasn't getting free tires at the time, I wouldn't have been able to do what I was doing. So, shout out to NorCal Cycles. Yeah, very true though by that. In fact, where are my boots at? I still have, hold on. The old Alpine Stars. So this will give you an idea. On my GSXR 750, this is when you start to learn that you need to do some things when you really start going fast. All of us have the toe sliders, your side sliders. And these are you see all the scuffs on this one. So one of the things with the 750 is you kind of do need to raise it because they are a little bit low. And this just got nicked a few times. This one didn't really ever get too scuffed up. But this one isn't even the first one. This is because of turn 3 at T Hill. I would always grind this portion of my boot. You can see a little scuffy right there where it's getting flat. I would always grind that portion of my boot. So I wouldn't really a knee drag guy. Like I don't really get off the bike. I'm a little bit off the bike, but yeah, I'd have that thing over and I'm looking through the corner and I'm a little bit more tucked and I'd get a scrape on the puck or whatever, but I knew I was doing good when I would catch that on my foot. I was like, oh yeah, we're doing good on turn 3. And that 750 just flying through there in third gear. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, I got to get some new boots. But yeah, grinding up your toe sliders. Oh, and also I had a set of Sato rear sets, the adjustable rear sets. And the trick is you would shave. You would take your Sawzall or a death wheel and kind of shave off the ends of them because they would have a bad habit of grabbing the tarmac. So yeah, you go through and you take about that much off of them. Anyway, back in the day, track shit. That's the glamorous side of track stuff. Oh, and then having to fit your own tires and mount your own tires, which I never really got good at either. Um, um, oh, DM's hanging out with Sovereign. Yeah, Sovereign put together some good music. I like it. Enjoys checking in. Greetings from Tennessee, Mr. Mason. Greetings from Texas. Thank you for coming by, man. I appreciate you. Allow saying very interesting stuff. I'm the same way about asking why and being a perfectionist. Yep. I just learned from, I figured I would ask the guys that were good at what they did, and they were very accommodating. Enjoy saying, honestly, I've been doing track days for 20 years. Nice. The cost at the start is what is big when you own everything. Spending a few $100s a handful of times a year isn't that bad. Oh, no. No, listen, at 250 or $350 here or there, it's well worth it. I mean, and again, I got to a point where I quit. Well, I didn't quit riding on the street. I quit riding the way that I was riding so much on the street, but I ended up going faster on the street because now I was really very comfortable with being in a track environment. So, but it got to a point where I was only on track for a couple of years, about a year and a half. All I did was really ride on track and then run up in the canyons or run up in the mountains. No, never went to SoCal in the canyons though. Enjoy saying, yeah, the feelers on the foot pegs, I machine them off. Oh, yeah, for sure. The feelers. Those are those little curb feeler things. They're a 10 millimeter and you just crack them off of there. I used to have them. Some bikes are funny. They're really long. But yeah, those are the first things usually that come off on my bikes, unless they're the little nubs, and then I'll just leave them on there. Sam's thinking some of his engine failures are thin versus thicker oil. Could be, man. Could very well be. But yeah, yeah, the aftermarket rear sets, you'd always have to shave them a little bit. But they do kind of act like frame sliders. Ask me how I know. It's when I went down at Skywalker and I had my foot the easiest low side ever in a million years. Like, where's my bike going? What the? Anyway. But yeah, no, it's getting back to the R9. Okay. So I'm having a hard time. This is something I'm really having a hard time justifying. I've ridden the XSR. I know that the bike would be great, but here's the problem. It's the expense of the thing and the fact that I can't get a leg over on one unless you basically almost like unless you buy one. And the other issue that I have with that bike, I just don't know that long term I would be super happy with it. But again, I would love to get a rental. I would love to get a leg over on the R9, spend some time with it, not railing on it, just get to know the bike a little bit. And, maybe get a chance to take it on the normal either ride and review route or the one where I do the personal route over the bridge when we're doing like, the comparisons or things like that with my own stuff. I'd love to run it through that. But, again, it's just, and it's a great bike. And the thing, it comes with so many good parts. It comes on S22s. Check. It's got a lot of technology. Okay, cool. If you're into that, check. It's got a very responsive, super torquey engine. Check. It's kind of everything you would want in a super sport bike, right? With the only downside being that it's kind of hard to come by right now because it's not like they're super expensive for what you get. I mean, it's actually a bargain for what you get. To be honest with you, it's a better value. Even with the $1,000, whatever it is, transportation kicker, it's a better value than the 636. And I'll stand by that statement. I'm not saying it's a better bike. I'm just saying it's a better value. Enjoy saying, once I did a lot of track days, my street riding got real docile and safe because I had the environment to let loose in very often. I kind of did the same thing. I had especially up in the mountains, I was just so much smoother. Lots of throttle discipline being at T Hill. So, I mean, it was easier for me to just kind of zen out, get up there, have fun, pick my spots, enjoy the ride, have a good time. And then when it came time to, get down, we would get down. But no, I 100% right there with you. I got faster on the street by going slower. If that, that means, I'm just a lot smoother, a lot easier, really transformed how I got around on a bike doing that. And it only took like a couple of times. My very first couple of track days, it's like, oh, I get it. And then I figured out pretty quickly that when I thought I was fast, I was like first time out, I thought I was fast and I was mid B group at best. And then from there, it just went mid B. And by the end of the day, I was in front on mid B. The next track day, I was just right in with A group right after that. And that was it. It was A group and, mid to, I wouldn't ever lead A group just because A group in Northern California, come on, seriously. Some of the guys that's all they do. So I wasn't ever going to get that good on that track, but I got good enough to where it was fun. You get to a point with these things where you're having fun with the rest of the guys that you're riding with, and it gets competitive at that point. That's when it gets to be a lot of fun. That's what I miss about track days. Oh, Matt's saying, I adore the quick shifter on it. I guess, are we talking about the R9? You like the quick shifter on it? I tell you what, Yamaha does quick shifter good, man. So Kawasaki doesn't. And that is I tell you what, that is one of the things about the Kawasaki that really got me to thinking about the R9. I hate to say it, but that is about as real of a statement as I can give you. Is after I had all the issues with the quick shifter on the 636, I was like, man, I bet that R9's quick shifter wouldn't give me these problems. But again, the work's been done. The bike is really good. So, do you keep bitching about something that's already fixed? You fixed the problem, right? Why are we still talking about a problem that's already been fixed? Well, because there's the R9, and the R9 could, for the channel, be a better bike. But, man, I got to tell you, the 636 getting a lot of love. So I don't know. We'll see how everything ends up playing out. Again, if a red and white R9 were to show up, don't be surprised. But I don't know of a dealership that's got one. And I also don't know of a dealership that would get me or anybody that would give me really what I kind of need to get out of the 636. Oh, Matt's about 3,000 miles into his R9. Hell yeah. Okay. Got lucky, found one that wasn't reserved back at Memorial Day. Very cool. So I guess okay. So some questions for you. Loving the bike, right? Have you done anything to it yet? Tuning, airbox mod, exhaust, anything, or is it still stock? And I guess the other question would be, have you had a chance to get the bike out, favorite B and C roads, get it on the side of the tire? What do you think about it? You're loving it, and that's what I like to see. But I would like to learn more about it because, again, I'm intrigued by it. And I get why so many guys, would like that bike. I'm one of them, and we've been like, Orange Crush and I have been talking about this for a while. Do we go, because we both have the GSXR 1000s, and that's my bike. My X-Star bike is my bike, but there's times when I'm on it and I'm like, dude, I just don't feel like ripping it today. But then I get on the bike and I'm ripping it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? So, but there's like the 750 is going to be a nice departure from my leader bike, because I never ask anything more out of my 750. I don't need anything more. And it doesn't feel like it's ever down on power, where the 636, you can feel the loss of power in the middle of the throttle turn. I'm not talking about mid-range. It just doesn't have a lot of tip-in torque. Where on the other hand, that CP3 engine, that's all that thing has. Its stock and trade is in mid-range and mid-throttle torque production. Saying bone stock will do exhaust and flash in the spring with tax return. Very nice. Enjoy saying been going down in engine displacement over the last 5 or 6 years now. Rode leader bikes for a long time, TL1000R in almost 20 years, but love middleweight twins now. Currently 24 GSX-8R. Okay, awesome bike. Kicked everybody's ass at Twins Cup. That bike is really good. I tell you what, I just did a ride and review on the TT, which is that retro looking bike, the real pretty green with the gold rims. Dude, the throttle mapping on the TT feels more aggressive than the 8R. And I loved the 8R, by the way. That's another one that damn near made it into the stable. And the idea with the 8R was that I was going to do airbox mod, tune, full exhaust, and put a set of clip-ons on it. I thought that bike would be a freaking riot with that setup. Let's see. Oh. Matt's saying, for me, I started on an R3 in 2019, had a Ninja 650 for a few years. They got lucky finding the R9. So it's a big jump. Okay, so I got you. It's a big jump for you. You're acclimating still. That's good, though. That's a good, see, but that's what that bike is good for. Man, you've got a lot of usable power. And, here's the other thing. Having torque is very intuitive. That's one of the reasons why I always feel more comfortable on torquey bikes than I do on revy bikes. They're just easy to ride. GSX-R 750 is a good example of this. It's a torquey 4-cylinder. It's not. The funny thing about the GSX-R 750 is that it is so just over-engineered, or under-stressed, I should say. Lower compression. It just does a lot of things that, there's a lot of areas where you could pick up real power with that engine that it doesn't matter. Look, the thing about that, the R9 that's so good, especially you're coming into it, you don't have to rip on that thing. You can just tip into the throttle and enjoy a lot of torque whenever you want to. So that's good. It's actually a safe and fun bike for you to get up into that higher power range. Matt's saying the dead spot in first and second is there for sure. The internet's is right about it. I've heard about that. I've heard that the R9 is like a mandatory flash when you get one. But exhaust and tune will take care of that for sure. Well, I was saying, but after your video on the measurements, I'm not sure it'll do what I thought as far as how it would affect the handling, but I still want to know what you think about those mods. I just passed you up. Loud saying I was going to do full carbon and lightweight build on the 750. I'm fortunate to have a good job, so I really wanted to ask your thoughts on carbon wheels. Don't do it. And fairings, don't do it. Would that make a big difference? No, it wouldn't. It'd make a big difference to your pocketbook, brother. That's it. Save your money. The more you dump into that part of the bike, the more that you're going to, it's a street bike, right? So you're going to open yourself up to issues with chips and cracks on carbon. Don't let anybody tell you different. Don't worry about lightweight body work or anything like that. It makes zero difference in terms of how that bike is going to work. Focus on putting a tune and exhaust on it, make it sound good, make it run good, and leave it at that. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to have a middleweight and go try to capture power or capture something with that middleweight outside of what the normal recipe is, because no matter what you do to that bike, unless you are very competitive with it, it's gonna be a hole in your garage that you just throw money in. But I would not do it. Enjoy say, I love the look of the TT. The TT is a hell of a good looking bike. Oh, cool. Say my 8R is nowhere near stock. Full suspension from Traction Dynamics. Lots of engine mods. About 90 to the wheel. That's sick on that bike, dude. If y'all aren't in the know, 90 to the wheel on an 8R out of that 776 means that thing is a beast through the mid range and the lower up and like say up around 8,500 9,500 RPM. That would be a fun bike. Oh, Matt say, well, man, look, you're getting there, brother. You'll get there. Just keep practicing. I've got some like how to like instructional videos on the channel. The main thing that I always just tell guys is ride the bike, practice, do your parking lot drills. Don't pretend like that's not a thing. And listen, guys, that's a reason why at the end of all my riding reviews, you always see me on the MSF course. You'll always see me do the little S. You'll always see me do a brake run. You'll always see me do low speed maneuvers. And that's why it's just a good opportunity to play with the basics and play with the fundamentals. So be working on your fundamentals. Um, and you'll get there. It's you will get there because that's just how you get there. Um, Sacrificial, we're going to be cool on this channel, please. Thank you. Enjoy saying before electronic aids, the flat plane crank 4 cylinders will get away from you faster. Not as much of an issue now. Um, it's sort of, but that's part of that traction thing. That's one of the things that we don't really have a lot. I'm always in A1. And one of the things about being in A1 is that there is a level of nannyage that is very like it's very easy. It's not very how do I say this? It's not very intrusive on that level. You can still get away with a lot of stuff, but every once in a while, I'll catch a little nanny action. That's when I know, okay, I'm probably overdoing it. But I tell you what, one of the bikes that I've always wanted to run on track is, you guessed it, K5678 GSXR 1000. Those things were awesome back in the day. No nannies. Oh. Let's see. Hold, please. Oh. Oh, enjoy saying virtually all bikes need tunes. The Kawasaki 4RR is probably the worst. Dude, the 4RR is nasty. I would love to ride a de-restricted 4R. Those things I have heard are just because they don't weigh anything. That's a bike where you look at it and go, it's only 70 horse. No, dude, you don't understand what that power number means in the whole grand scheme of riding a motorcycle. They're nutty and a lot of gearing. Matt's saying 100% agree. It feels like a very safe, forgiving machine to learn to lean all the way over and roll on the throttle. 100% recommend one to anyone coming from a smaller bike. That's kind of what that's the gist that I got from that. Summer, I walk away from, yeah, kind of. Oh, Matt's saying I've dug the foot peg feeler things a few times. I'm getting over pretty well, but not all the way all the time. Make sure you're looking where you want to go. You're looking through your corner. You're looking where your exit. Don't do anything until you can see your exit. And don't over exaggerate the lean. Make sure that you are leaning with purpose. Lots of goofy little things. You'll hear all kinds of little things that either rhyme or, look through the corner, blind corners, anyway. Lots of that kind of stuff. Oh, enjoy seeing, yeah, how power is delivered matters on traction. Yeah, exiting corner. Absolutely, it does. Yeah, four cylinders are just a lot more dynamic. Um, oh, enjoy saying, yeah, Two Wheel Dyno Works have done three bikes. Yeah, I mean, they're going to end, or three bikes. They will have. They've done two for me, and they're about to do another one with the 750. I like I like how Nate. I like how the tunes that I've gotten from Nate. I like how they run. Nate is big into mid throttle power, which is something that I like because that is more intuitive for me to be able to ride the bike. I like a lot of mid throttle power application, which gets me into trouble too sometimes. There's not the thousands funny. So there's some corners where I'm on the side of the tire and I'm powering on at corner exit, and as the bike's coming up, I'm really trying to cheat that power into the bike, and I know I'm not getting away with anything. I know I'm doing the right thing. I probably could hit it earlier, but thing starts pulling the front tire up on the side of the tire. That's one of my favorite things to do. Bear with me here. Um, oh, Matt's saying, thank you for the advice. I'm trying really hard lately to force my eyes up. I used to target lock a lot. So here's an easy way for you to just not target fixate. Um, an easy way to learn how to, to get away from this is a real easy drill. It's just horizon check. So when you're riding your bike, just be mindful, look up, horizon check, right where you're wanting to go. If you're going through a corner, you've already seen where you're going to be. You're always going to scan, like you're always scanning this weird, check, checksums as you're doing your scanning, but just do a horizon check and watch your horizon. You can do this in your car, by the way. You don't have to be on a bike to do it. It's a fun exercise because you'll find yourself, and I do this in my truck a shitload, okay? And I'm bad about this. I'll do this in my truck, and then I'll start finding myself mentally. I'm picking racing lines, and I'm checking. I'm finding my exit. I'm looking. I'm doing horizon checks, and then I'm just checking to make sure I'm not hitting any debris. But what I'll do is if I know that everything's clear and I'm doing my horizon check, I'm driving, right? Or I'm riding, I'm looking where I want to go, and I'm not going fast enough. And that pedal goes down or I start throttling up. And it's funny because you end up being exceptionally smooth when you're doing horizon checks. And so anyway, that's a way to keep from target fixating. Also, you're looking where you want to go using your eyes. Okay. But also use your head, get your head up, center your head, center your equilibrium. Remember how your ears work too. The ears, that little thing that looks like a snail, they work best, not like this, not looking down. They work best when you're, have your head at a walking attitude. So that's another thing, keeping your head up. Look, find your horizon. You see your horizon, you see your path, rolling in, checking your path, making sure everything's good. You're watching the road with your peripheral vision, and you're watching where you want to go, and you're just picking your spot. I will do that in my truck, and I'll find myself doing stupid speeds in my own truck because I'm just, it's like I'm on a bike. And when I'm on the bike, I do the same thing anyway. So, and also too, by doing that, what you'll find that, you're coming into a corner. Like when you watch the video, setting it up, dropping it in, maintenance throttle, power on exit, power, power, power. I do that shit so you can get into my head so that you can get an idea for what I'm looking at. And a lot of times I'll try to over exaggerate where my head is so that you can see me looking through the corner at the horizon or at my exit, and then at my next braking spot. So you'll hear me, I say all that and I do all that in those videos so that you will remember to do them too. Addressing the corner, which means closing speed is being managed. On the brakes, trail braking, maintenance throttle, which means you've trail braked, you've come off of your brakes, maintenance throttle, power, power, power on corner exit. And that's what I'm looking up, and the bike is coming up And then I'm at wide open when the bike is straight up and down, and then immediately off the throttle, on the brakes, trail braking into our next turn where we meet our favorite stop signs. Hi, fellas. I do that just so that you can be a part of the mental process that goes through, maneuvering one of these things through corners and stuff like that. So hopefully it helps, but that's why I do it. Sam, sandals are only acceptable in the car or in the garage. Let's see. Oh, Matt's saying two wheels, who I'm going to send my ECU to. Yeah, I mean, they're really good. I'm not saying others aren't good, but I like two wheel. I like the way that the 636 runs its ass off. That thing is so good. My 1000 is a monster. Oh yeah, enjoy saying most of the time around the track we're not wide open. I find I have much better feel never opening the throttle 100%. I'm just shy of the stop when asking for all in the motor. Yep, I do that a lot. And I do that a lot. And the only time I'm really ever wide open is if I'm really committed to a straight. And you'll always see me, I'll fan the throttle back with my hand. But I'm never gripping when I'm at wide open. I just fan back and I'm just holding it with the little cup in my fingers here. And I keep my brake finger out and I'm just fan back, and you'll see it every once in a while, here we go. And you'll notice that, I keep a super light hand on the bars because I'm so used to with the leader bikes, you'll get a lot of communication out of those things because you're constantly hovering the front of the front tire. And if you're gripping the piss out of the grips, you're going to get a hell of a head shake. If you just let the bike do its own thing, it's like dancing with you. It's just like if you're dancing with a girl, you don't grip her, you do your thing, right? That's the same thing. But that's why you'll always see my throttle hand. I'm never like this on the throttle. I've always got fingers sticking out, or you'll see me just fan the throttle back and then I just roll forward and grab the brake. Oh man, I said I'll look that up. I do a lot of just normal street riding to and from work, etc. around Columbus. I don't like to have to force that mindset, just trying to fix the mindset. Yeah, no, it literally will come natural when you start to do it. It just takes training. You'll just, find yourself doing stuff that, it just becomes part of how you ride the bike. And everything will slow way down when you start to do that too. It's weird. It really is, but it does. Oh, Loud's talking about, Zach's asking about the tires on the 8. Columbus. I was shown one hell of a good time in Columbus. OHIO, when we played Ohio State. I played a little ball in college. On High Street, by the way. If you're not familiar with High Street in Columbus, Ohio, it is a street right at the university, which is nothing but bars on the left-hand side of the street. I snuck out, and me and a buddy of mine, the Ohio State University. So we snuck out, and we were treated very kindly by the local fauna, and damn, did I get into trouble. They would never let me go back on travel squad after that trip, but God, was it so worth it. Holy shit. So the Ohio State University treated me so well. Love you, Ohio. And however many children I still have in that state. He's saying call the R9 the Armageddon. I tell you what, mine's name is Toothless. Enjoy saying the Michelins are very predictable at the edge of traction, which is great. Them not having as high of ultimate grip never matters, it seems. One thing I will say, I love the S22s, love the S23s, would love to have those tires on track, but I know that they would not last too long as track tires, at least not on the 1000. but they would be awesome on a middleweight. I was saying, man, the Ohio girls. Oh man. Oh, the ladies. Enjoy saying Michelin's would melt on a hot Texas track. Yeah. God, we had some Dunlops that just would absolutely turn to bubble gum. Oh, enjoy saying I'll run Pilot Power 2 CTs. Good tire for that bike. But with that, guys, I have got to jump off of here. Oh, enjoy saying I ran the Michelin Pilot Powers on the TL 1000 for years. And that's in cold weather. Yep. Back in the day, you had the Pilot Pros, wasn't it? Everybody rocked the Michelins back in the day. 35 miles away, Walmart. Holy crap. Oh, Sam, yeah, pregame on Ohio. Oh, dude, the Ohio State guys. Listen, I've got to wrap it up. Good show tonight. Thank everybody for coming by. Love each and every one of you guys. Would not do this without you. Listen, get out there and do something cool for somebody, because chances are they need it way more than you know. And it's that time of year, guys. Give everybody a little bit extra grace. Folks are going through a lot right now. Last comment. Yeah, enjoy. Yeah, everybody had Pilot Powers on them back in the day. But with that, guys, I got to wrap it up. Hope to catch y'all on the next one. And as always, y'all take it easy.